Hello, everyone. This is Will Dorsey Jr. of Talk Music Podcast. My guest for this month is named Aaron Draper. I got the pleasure of working with this guy for 3 years with Adele, and he's played percussion for lots of other people like Eminem, DrDre, JillScott. That's just to name a few for for right now. But I'll let him explain all that, on this interview. Everybody, welcome Aaron Draper.
Welcome to Talk Music with Will Dorsey Jr.
Every month,
Our host Will is going to interview musicians from around the world and talk everything music. Our listeners range from professionals to recreational musicians who want to learn more about the industry, their instruments, and the community of top musicians. So join us, subscribe, and keep up with Talk Music.
visit us on www.talkmusicpodcast.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download our podcast on Apple, Google, Amazon, and Spotify.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, eRecordStudio, the new way musicians rehearse, record, and share their e-record sessions on social media. Visit ERS on eRecordStudio.com. Download this amazing app on Google and Apple Apps stores.
Aaron, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Happy to be home, man. Enjoying
Yeah.
the house. I get to set up the crib. You know what I mean? I got all this. I got so much stuff. It's
Right.
ridiculous. You realize how much stuff you got now?
Right. Man,
Yeah.
I just want to say top of everything. Thanks for coming on to the show, man. I
Come
appreciate
on,
you.
man. My dog, bro.
Right.
We got years in the game now.
I'm just glad to have you on here. My first percussionist on this show. And I'm just happy about that. And can you let people know like how we met, how I got into, I guess, your world?
Man. Well, let's see. For you, you're actually subbing for a good friend of ours, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace
Yes,
to
sir.
my guy. We lost him.
Yeah.
He lost his battle to cancer. So rest in peace to our brother Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
And
Rest in
and you took over from there, man. And we've been rocking ever since. It was, it was like we was like, yeah, that will. Yeah, that will. Let's keep on. Good to go. It was a no-brainer after that.
Oh
So,
man.
and
Thank
that
you,
was
man.
with was it rehearsals? Yeah, I think it was
Yeah, it
rehearsals.
was.
Adele
Yeah.
rehearsals when we started with Adele rehearsals. So that's how we all, got connected and been rolling ever since then. We've been putting the dots together, because it's like, because once I started, you're like, you know about that? Oh, okay.
All right.
So we've been rocking ever since, man. So, you gained a brother for life.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Thank you, dude.
Absolutely.
Can you explain like your background with how you are as a percussionist, but you're not only a percussionist, you're a drummer as well. So I want you to explain all of that, about
Yeah.
you.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm a drummer first. I was a church drummer, I grew up in church, United Holiness Church of America,
Mm,
and um, I figured it out, like kind of wanting to play at 6 years old, got on the drum set, and I could like had a little rhythm, because a natural coordination rhythm, because it takes a lot of coordination to play drums, and people don't know.
yeah.
Keep your foot going and then play the snare and the hi-hats, then add chops and then hit cymbals and. So that was my first take at drums. And then eventually after years going on, in middle school, I mean not middle school, excuse me, elementary school, High Street Christian Academy in Philadelphia here,
Mm,
I started playing drums a lot more. And I was also playing at a church back then too, excuse me, um, called Jehovah Shalom God Cares with Love Ministries.
Oh man. Okay. Okay.
And I wasn't the drummer. I wasn't the drummer per se. I was the young boy that wanted to play drums, but there was his drummer there. His name was Jimmy Ellison. That's my guy. He also passed away. Rest in peace to Jimmy.
Oh man.
And Kevin Ellison and Keith and there was a guy named Brother Big, and they were like, they would play. And then when Jimmy wouldn't be there, that was my time to, it was all good church stories, that was my time to try to get up in there and do whatever I do till he got there.
Yeah.
And, so that's how that started on drums, and then eventually moving on to like middle school. And then middle school, I actually I met a guy named Robert Webb, which is my music teacher in Gillespie Middle School, which is the middle school I went to. And he took me under his wing, and he put me on my like first playing for like choirs and stuff, like
Oh wow.
churches. It was Grace Baptist Church, and the other one was saying North. I can't remember the name. I ain't gonna lie, I can't even remember the name of the church I used to play. But he had me playing for his groups, and those that propelled me to the next thing. And then eventually, while I was in Gillespie, I met two of my friends to this day, my brothers, who I started in music with, Curtis Chambers and Troy Crafton. Curtis was a guitar player, drummer, killing still to this day. He plays with me. We've been playing together for years, but I met him and Troy in middle school, and then of course I eventually graduated and went to Gratz, and I was there with them. And there was around that time it was the choir teacher. Her name was Miss McLaurin. I think she wasn't there. She was like in and out. So it was up to us. Like we're running the choir. We're like the little band for it. Had my guy Michi, had Troy. You had Kurt, playing guitar and keys and all that stuff. And then eventually they would introduce you to a church that changed my life, which was called Fort Memorial Temple. Bishop Andrew James Ford Sr. in Germantown, which is actually, dog. And this is the funny part. I actually lived across the street from both of these schools. I would not tell nobody I lived there because I didn't want nobody to know where I lived.
Right.
I would leave the school and go behind the driveway to go into my house. Somebody would see me. So that's a whole funny story. But
okay.
And so the church was literally around the corner on Germantown Avenue in Philadelphia, if anybody knows Philadelphia. So, started going there. That eventually changed my life. Because before that, I was at a church called Freedom Bible Christian Fellowship. Bishop, oh God. Bishop Coleman, sorry.
Okay.
Bishop Gilbert Coleman.
All right.
And had Reggie Drummond and Rashid Coleman there, two great musicians. And it was a great time there. I learned what I learned from there. And then I went to this church for Memorial, and it like, whoa, what's happening here? This is
wow.
It taught me some other things. I will say this though. I know I'm like all over the place. I will say this though, being at Freedom Bible Christian Fellowship, my first experience in hearing when gospel music are changing, hearing Kimberell's first album. Well, not the first. I'm gonna say this the second because the first one was I think it was Persian Things or whatever. The second one was Everlasting Life. I don't know if you've heard Everlasting Life.
Yeah.
That changed my life.
Wow.
So that was like my first whoa, Everlasting Life. Okay. Whoa, this is crazy for church. And along with the other stuff I was listening to, you got to think about BT Jazz was real big back then too. So I was listening to all the BT Jazz. You had all the great performers. Percussion, Pancho Sanchez and Ontario Sandoval's and who else was I watching? There was so many great jazz artists on there.
Yeah.
Just me being a sponge and soaking it all in as I was watching this stuff. So going back to Ford though, got to Ford.
Okay.
It was like the Church of Philadelphia, very rich musical history, and that's where I came there in '97. I wasn't necessarily playing percussion.
All right.
They didn't have stuff back then, but it was coming. It was getting there. I was just there, learning, watching, and eventually I ended up playing percussion there. But that's where my brother Kurt used to go, Troy, and then I had one of my other big brothers. His name is Omar Edwards. He's an MD for like Jay-Z, Rihanna. He's done Lucky Day. So I mean, like it's a list of people.
Right.
Like he's for Kelly Price, and
Wow.
that's old.
Wow.
He's not gonna laugh
Still,
if you hear that, but
still
these are
though.
yeah, absolutely. But he also
Yeah.
was in. He was around like some of our other OGs with like James Poyser
Okay.
and Questlove. He started being around those people, so he was bringing that vibe to church. But going back, Ford Memorial changed my life. We had also with JoJo Wiley, who was the organist there, and Brian Lomax, who was the bass player. So that was the band when I first got there in 1997. I was 16 years old.
Okay.
You know, my mother started giving me freedoms. I could start going, going to this church, and
Right.
So
Yeah.
while there, I spent some good time there, learning, and you couldn't come through Philly being a gospel artist without coming through Fort Memorial.
Yeah.
It was that type of church. And then eventually I started playing like percussion there. My old head, he would bring his little kungas and stuff. Curtis
Right.
Bland, he had some the LP Kunga
Yeah.
Juniors, and
Yeah.
whatever we get, it was whatever. We made it through this. I was playing with drumsticks and all that.
Hmm.
Boom. These are my next couple of years playing percussion. I will play drums sometimes too at the church too.
Right.
And I was playing the other church too. I used to play the Baptist church called Upper Baptist Church. So I'm still in my drum bag, on
Yeah.
being a drummer. But then I started meeting when I get I started meeting other drummers. I started meeting George McCurdy, Spanky.
Oh, nice.
And then you got Boots, and you got
Right.
Eric Tribbett,
Oh.
and let me go back and say I always acknowledge this guy, my big brother Brian Moore, who was
Oh.
actually the inspiration for me actually wanting to get into the musical business.
Wow.
Because Brian's from Philly, and
Yeah.
around this time, this is when he's older. He's starting to travel. He's doing his thing. We used to have a thing called the Great Gospel Gatherings, and that was like my first time getting to interact with Brian. And I actually, it was two drummers there. It was him and this other guy. Uh,
Okay.
the guy just before the other guy got on, Brian was on. He's playing "I Believe I Can Fly," and very like, woo, man,
Right.
real youthful and having like he's just having fun,
Yeah.
whatever. The other guy get on and he like, it's like I was like, hey, it's a big difference. And I remember I just told Brian this the other day. I was like, yo, man, how come the other drummer don't sound like like you did in it, or it like why didn't he just didn't, whatever. He was like, well, you gotta have fun with it, man. You know.
Yeah.
And I remember taking those words, and then, eventually after a while, I didn't see Brian for a long time, not knowing
Hmm.
Brian. I think Brian had moved to Atlanta,
All right.
but by then I think he was playing for. Now I might be wrong, but he was playing by then. He was playing for started playing for Genuine and Aaliyah. I don't know
Okay.
if you've seen that. Have you ever seen any of those videos of him playing with Genuine and Aaliyah?
Right. Yep.
So eventually, this I'm in high school by then. I'm 16 years old, 1997,
Okay.
98, 17, and and by the time I want to say, no, actually I was 15 in 97. Excuse me,
Mm.
and I'm in high school, just doing my thing. So me and my brother Kurt, we got a hold of this tape. Um, by that was a tape of Brian playing with Genuine and Aaliyah. And when I
Mm.
say it blew us away, it was like, man, yeah, this is what I want to do, And
Right.
me and I'm still drumming at this point too. I'm still, playing drums. So I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. I want to go on the road
Yeah.
and the magic of seeing people and hearing the screams and playing music you like and listen to on the radio or
Hmm.
whatever. At that time, the radio was still big back then. So the magic of that just captured us. And then of course there's Brian Moore, who, Brian, man, let him tell you, it was the MD was Johnny Croom, and
Mm.
he said he would look at him. He said every time he looked at him, he had to go over and do a chop. So
Oh. Oh man.
if you ever get a chance, go look at 1997 and Lee and Genuine tour. You'll see what I'm
Right.
talking about.
Okay. All right. I'll
But
check that
though
out.
although he talks about it, but I tell him, man, that stuff changed our lives. To us, it was. When you're young, you learning, you're learning about your craft and who you want to sound like or
Mm.
what you want to do or what you want to be. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that was just like changing. That was life changing because, it pushed me into this. So fast forward, I'm still at 4. By this time, I'm playing more percussion and whatever, because there's a bunch of drums and whatever. I'm still a drummer too. Don't get me wrong, I'm
Right.
still doing that. 2000, 2001, my last year in high school, um, I didn't graduate that. I graduated that year, but I had to go to summer school for one school. So I
Right.
ended up going to summer school, and eventually I had got one. This is before the internet was even back in 2001, the internet was still up and coming. So
Yeah, it was. It was.
one of my homegirls was like, "Hey, you got to go to this audition at the studio." And I'm like, and prior to that, and because I'm getting ahead of myself. Prior to that, I have another friend. His name is Timothy Pettigrew. We actually went there. I want to say maybe earlier that year or 2000. Larry Gold's studio, which is a very big like historical studio too. Later on in the year, because that's where they did a bunch of the Crimea River, like a bunch of stuff, like all the albums was
Yeah.
everybody was coming through Larry Gold's. I went there the year before that, and before it got fixed up and all that, and it just looked like a scene out of Saw. The lights, the hallway was dark. You got wires and lights come down. They still build, and then you get to the studio eventually. At the time, I didn't know I was going to be auditioning for Fatim from Kendrick, the family,
Oh,
which is my big brother. Shout out to Katim and Asia. And of course, they was they were just hearing us out. I play drums, Tim sang whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Fast forward 2001. Like I said, my homegirl Morgan, she tells me, "Hey, you got an audition to do." And I'm like, "An audition for who?" For this group they call the Jazzyfatnastees. I'm like,
oh,
"Okay, all right, cool. All right, I'll go do it." Went to go audition for them, and one of my OGs and big brothers, Eric Tribbett, was actually the drummer at this time, because this is around the time when Amir he was in New York doing like the voodoo stuff.
right.
Common, Bilal, ErykahBadu, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think he had took a little break from the Roots. So Eric was playing with like the Roots and Jazzyfatnastees and this, like he was he's all over. So I
Wow.
auditioned right before I audition. He just, I got to sit with him. He showed me like, "Yo, you need to play like this, blah 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 blah." I played it, and God rest his soul too. This is OG Richard Nichols, who I definitely I always talk about, because he gave me my first shot at playing for breaking into this music industry. Like, he liked me. He called me back. He's like, "We want you to come back." And I'm getting ahead. I was also at the time, I was a drummer for Jasmine Sullivan. Jasmine was like 14. I was her drummer back then too. So I was playing for Jasmine and like Warm Daddies, and I was doing that. So when I got that call,
Right.
he liked me. He was like, "All right, yeah, I want you to play. I want you to come. I want you to play. I want you to be the house band for an event." Then, mind you, I'm only 18 years old. I'm not even supposed to be in the clubs yet. So
Right.
I became the house drummer for the Black Lily, and I was the drummer for Jazzyfatnastees. So every Tuesday, I was playing at down Market Street on Bank Street, called at the Five Spot. The place was called the Five Spot, Black Lily,
Right.
and that was like where it like first took off. And and I'm still a drummer. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a drummer at this point.
Right.
And I can always, and like I said, I play percussion too. I wasn't fully in it, but I started getting really, really serious about it maybe around 2003, of me being at the Five Spot Black Lily, because one of my homies, he was coming around with his congas. His name was Carlos, and I was saying, "This is congas," and then eventually I was just like, at some point I had decided, because by then you had my other brother who came around, Daryl Robinson, you had Boots Green, and by then I was like, okay, it's a lot of drummers. What can I play? And so this was my challenge to myself, to make myself be the percussionist I am now. I was like, all right, okay, I'll just do percussion. I can do percussion, but if you do percussion, you got to be great at it. You're not great, and people, or you're not even great. Just the sound that you have
Right.
has to be what everybody wants and need after playing these gigs. So, it was a lot of finding that sound. So, and coming from drums to percussion, it was kind of easy because it actually helped out because
All right.
I can play drums. So,
Yeah.
um, and so in that time, I became a percussionist. That's what, like I said, I was still playing drums, and then after a while, I was playing, but I fizzled out into like, I'm gonna play percussion. Let me try this out now.
All right.
And so that turned into me playing eventually for so okay, let me get on 2001. Um, I would do that's when Richard Nichols introduced me to the Roots, Amir. Sorry.
Mm.
I met Amir and I would go on little things with him. I would do little shows. I would go, I would just be around.
All right.
And I remember it being like a little kunga on the side, and I ended up playing that one little kunga. Also, I would play drums sometimes too up there too.
Oh,
Amir would have this segment where he would do solo, and it would be me. And I remember being me and him one time, and then I think like the second time was like me and Frankie Knuckles. And we would go around the set. He would go up, and then the next person would come around. We go up, keep going playing the drums, and the next, and then it would end up with, and then Amir would end it out. And so that
right.
was like my first experience of like doing shows and like being with the Roots, which consequently ended up with me later on that year doing Jay-Z Unplugged. I did Jay-Z
Mm.
Unplugged for my first like ever TV thing. I had the afro. I was big, they called me big because I had a lot of hair back then. I can't do all that hair now. But I had the big fro and I had all that stuff. And um 2001, Jay-Z Unplugged with the Roots.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
that was like an historic thing. I think I was 19 by the time it came out. So
Right.
and so that's when I think that's when it turned into like, all right, let me try this percussion thing out.
Wow.
And so that was like the
Man.
transition from drums to percussion.
Right. Man, you got me on, like because I was going to ask you, like an important story,
Mhm.
like about your, that you want to tell your fans. I
Well,
think you just did. That was wow.
yeah. Yeah,
That's cool,
man.
man.
I mean, also it's crazy that year I was actually, and that was another crazy story is I'll give two. The
Oh
second
yeah,
one is
please,
that
please.
year we were in New York getting ready to perform at BB King's in Times Square. Well, consequently, it was in September. It was on
Hmm.
September. The show was on September 11th. I was in
Oh,
my hotel room, and TV wasn't, whatever. Yeah, I used to always
right,
have the radio on, and I remember waking up and hearing like the planes that just crashed into the thing, and whatever. And back then, they would do a lot of skits and laugh and joke and stuff, but I didn't. I thought it was a joke. Turned
right.
turned turned the radio off and ended up just going back to sleep. And then I woke up and was like, wait a minute, we supposed to be doing sound check soon too, whatever. And I get up and everybody's just downstairs, everybody's around, and you see it was like, yeah, the Twin Towers it just went down. So New York was on lockdown. So that was my first experience ever being in like a city that was on lockdown. Um,
Wow.
and
Mm.
I remember going outside. I remember seeing somebody sitting on the ground with all the soot and everything on them, and people just, it was, because Times Square is not too far from the Twin Towers. So
Right.
that was my first. That was like one of my first wild experience stories to see ever happen. I ended up getting out that night some kind of way and getting back home because or catching the train. I was with my friends Erica Hicks and my friend Lynn and her brother Aaron, and
Right.
we all we got back to Philadelphia some kind of way. And well, me and Lynn did because they lived in Jersey I think at the time. So
Right.
and I made it home. That was a crazy experience for me though. It was never what I
Mm.
thought that would have happened
Mm, mm, mm.
in a million years.
Yeah,
So
man. Oh
yeah,
man, man. Because I went. I didn't go through anything like that. I was
mhm.
still in Maryland at that time. It was
Yeah,
like that was 2001, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. September 11th,
So
2001.
yeah, I just I didn't do that. I was in another band in Maryland, and
Yeah,
the next day we were supposed to play for RCA, and of course I knew New York, shut down and
put down
whatnot, and
everything. Yep,
yeah, and that was a terrible experience, man.
it was.
Man,
It was.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um, Let me jump forward of I wanted, the reason why I had you on this show because I wanted to prove um the importance of what percussion,
yeah,
why percussionists are why are they needed? in like especially in pop music, or
Mhm.
R&B, hip hop, gospel.
Yeah,
But I wanted to see your side of what you bring to the table,
yeah,
for all those genres of music.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, like I said, when I'm, especially when I'm like, playing percussion, for me now, it's more of a me adding that seasoning, and some of a lot of the songs have percussion, a lot of them don't.
Hmm.
So, with me, my challenge is, especially when they don't have percussion, is to make it feel like as if percussion should have been in there anyway. You
All
know
right.
what I mean? And also the flip side of that, when it does have percussion, whether it be pop, hip hop, gospel, uh, whatever, don't matter the genre, I want to make it feel like that record that when they made the record, I wanted to have that same feel.
Yeah.
I want the artist to be like, oh man, this feels great. Oh man, that's just, and that's just my perspective, of how I want the percussion when I join it. So I'm always locked in with the drums and making sure that we're a rhythm unit. I feel like the biggest compliment is, man, I was so locked in, I couldn't tell who was playing what because it was just
Mm,
that energy was just there. So,
yeah.
and that's to me that's the importance of percussion because it's adding like that. Of course, everybody else is locked, but then when you have those extra colors and tones and that flavoring, those all that stuff in there to add to the song, that just makes it even better. To
All
make it
right.
sound like because you want it to sound like I want to be locked in with everybody else. So I think
Man.
that's the importance of percussion. Percussion, I call it the seasoning. It's like the added seasoning to what we cooking. You know?
Yeah. Man. For me,
Yeah.
um, it's been a pleasure of like even listening to you, like
Oh man,
and I'm just listening to you and Derek, Derek Wright, everybody,
you're right.
is a drummer, but listening to your parts in and I know a lot of these Adele songs or whatever, and it's just this is just one part of it,
Mhm.
of like what you bring to the table on
Yeah.
top of her music is to me it's
Thank you,
spectacular,
bro.
so
That was a challenge for me when I
was it
first got
really?
there. Because you got to okay, so I mean the story with that is 2015. I was still out playing with Rihanna. I was on tour with Rihanna. We were in South America because they had started rehearsals before me. I got the call. It was like, so you'll be available to play with Adele. Boom, boom. I argued with my friends. I was like, yo, they just hit me about doing this Adele gig, and all my friends, Adam Blackstone, shout out to Adam Blackstone,
Whoa, man, that's
Omar
another.
Edwards,
Woo.
um, all my homies. They like because these are the guys that I've been like literally doing a lot of my musical professional career with
Yeah,
at late and later on, like Blake BBE and all that, and Omar, who I mean Omar, we come from church, so he already knew me. That's I always give him props. It's my brother. He's the reason why I heard Slum Village and all this stuff because he was bringing back everything he was getting while being out with the Roots and being around James Porter and all that scene and bringing it back to church. And then eventually, I got out there too to be around all of them.
right.
So yeah. So the story is, 2015. I was in South America. We had just did Rock in Rio. Rihanna, you can catch it. It's still on YouTube. Rihanna Rock in Rio 2015, and
Okay.
then we were because we were in South Philly. Then we was in Santiago, Chile. And then I think like right after that, I went home because at first I was like, don't want to do this gig. I don't want to stay here.
Mm.
And they offered me a good deal. Adele and them. I was like, all right, cool. So they was like, I said, well, can y'all wait? I'm still out with Rihanna and we still rehearsing, whatever, whatever. Consequently, the funny story is I got Eric on it too. Eric had to audition. He auditioned for Adele. So
Oh, okay.
that's the story. Eric
Oh,
auditioned
okay.
for Adele. Of course, I mean, he's one of the greatest. He killed it. He got it. He's
Right.
on it. You know what I mean? I didn't have the audition, though, so no, I'm just
Right.
kidding. No, I'm joking. But it was tough for me because when I got there, I had like a small setup of like probably what we got on stage now, but with like timbales and check temp, all that. At first I didn't have all that. So she was like, she told the MD Tim, I only want what's gonna be played on my songs. and my music. I was like, it ain't too much percussion in here, so I don't know what I'm gonna play.
Right.
Okay. I was like, okay. So I went back to the drawing board and I had to think. I was like, okay, what else? The great thing is, like, I listen to a lot of music. I'm a sponge to music. I would sleep with music on. I watch so much music videos and everything else. So what came to my head was Coldplay. All right, let's do a Coldplay kind of percussion, with all the drums. They got the single drums and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's like very auxiliary orchestral percussion, I call it. So I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's just strip this down. This is what I told him. All right, let's strip this down. Give me a trigger. Let me get a trigger for my gong drum. I think I had a 16 at the time. It was just like a 16 and a gong drum, some blocks and stuff, tamarines and shakers. I was like, all right, and this is what we're gonna do. So because we are running Pro Tools. Give me those sounds. And I'll play the sound. I'll trigger the sound on my gong drum for like, that's how I got hello. I did trigger sound. I triggered that sound.
Yeah.
One and only was more like shakers and tambourines, so that was all that.
Right.
We were doing Water Under the Bridge, the clap.
Yeah.
I just figured out I could just play that drum sound on the floor times, and it sounds. I get a sound, and it sound right. It worked out. I like tuning. Also, I'm a good tuner. I like tuning drums. So
Right.
And then we were doing chasing payments.
Okay.
I was like, give me those sounds. I could just play it on the hand sonic, boom, 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 and and take that out the actual Pro Tools, and I'll play it.
Right.
Started doing it, and she liked it. It was like, all right,
that's cool.
All right, this is what you like. All right, cool. And so like I said, it's a cool culture shop. I don't got no cymbals. I don't got the chimes. I don't got nothing. I just got actually, and at the time, they had the TD50 back then. I was using I had the XBDX.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I had the hands on it.
All right.
And I was triggering. I mean, I think the trigger came later because I triggered. I had a 12-inch tom, the True Track, as a trigger. So I was using that as a trigger for certain stuff too. So so it turned into that, and that was the first percussion setup. It's a picture of it online, and I'll send you guys one too.
All right, cool.
And that was like my first setup where it was like, okay, you ain't got nothing, so now you got to just play these parts and make sure I'm playing them right, and turn into what you heard me playing now. The congas and stuff came. We added that later this year for like the little conga parts and some of the songs like I Drink Wine, which is not really, which is it was cool.
But still, it gives it flavor, though.
It does. But I also had to play like a conga player percussion that doesn't play percussion. If you notice that pattern is always like, I'm not really digging in to whereas you see me on like, when I show you like some of those other clips from me, like playing with like Corey Henry, I'm like, I can't play that way on there. So what I learned from Adele was I learned discipline very my first year doing that, it gave me a big lesson in having a lot of discipline in my approach, in my playing, and just in playing like percussion, like more of a very chill. It was very much work smarter, not harder.
Right.
So, and it worked out. That's what this song's gone for. And like I said, that's what you hear. That's what you heard.
Right.
Now that was the the formula of what I was on.
Wow, man. I mean, speaking of tuning, because I know you know your drum, tuning wise. I just want to get your perspective of like, did you play any other instruments besides drums?
No, I took piano lessons briefly.
Did you?
And I can sing, so
See,
that helps with my ear too.
And that's what I was going to say, because I heard you, like when you guys were, it was at the for New Year's.
Yeah.
And I can hear you sing.
You can hear me?
Dude, you can sing.
We were singing All Inside.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was I mean, before I played any instruments, I was singing in the choir. Shout out to my home church. It was
right.
I grew up in a church called Temple Refuge. At the time, it was United Holiness Church. Now it's Evangelic Church, community church. And it was no instruments. It was just us tamarines, and my mother was the choir director, and that was it.
All right. Okay.
And I was singing the choir, and then I think one day my mom gave me a solo to sing. I had to sing Hezekiah Walker's "Oh Lord, We Praise You."
Right.
I sang the lead for that. That's a classic, like old '80s Hezekiah Walker song. And I think I shocked at the time. I shocked everybody that I could sing. I probably shocked myself because I didn't know I could sing. And which I have family, so I have a whole other set of family in Florida, which hopefully one day I'll get to see one day. The Olivers, my uncle Oliver, he was a musician. He played keys, and I think I had other family members that played music too. But I never really got to meet them because this is my great grandmother's brother, and of course, it's everybody's family's dynamics is different. So if you don't see them all the time, I knew about him. Like I knew about him.
Right.
I probably met him once at my great grandmother's funeral, so I never really got to connect and to that side. So there is a whole other musical side on my mom's side. So
see, that's awesome, man. I knew, like because you were like the first drummer, really, because like had a particular wanted notes, for the drums.
Yeah.
And you were the first drummer I ever worked with, me drum teching and knowing your notes.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, this dude's sick. Okay.
I learned it from it's crazy because I learned it from John Roberts. John Roberts showed me the notes because when I played with JillScott, I played one of the many artists I played for over the years, JillScott. And I remember when he played, I sat behind the set and I was like, oh my, and you ever sit behind the set and the set sounds so good?
Yeah.
Like you sound good. And want to play, and I was just like, yo, why does set feel like this? It sound, from the snare to the toms, and everything was like, and I was like, oh my God, John, how you tune your set? What you tune your sets to? He told me the notes, E flat, B flat, F and C, and I just went from there, and I think I just took it around with it ever since.
Wow. Man, dude. Man, as a percussionist, and I just wanted to see if you ever felt like this in your career. Did you ever felt like that you wanted to give up as a percussionist?
Yes. I wanted to quit plenty times. I think it was a whole year where I wasn't even working. It was I wasn't even playing. I was going to church, and I wasn't but I wasn't doing what I do now. And I would do small jobs. I would do work. I had two jobs in my life. I had American Appliance, and I worked at KFC. I worked at KFC when I was like 16, and then American Appliance later. And of course, they didn't last long because I couldn't work. 9 to 5 wasn't for me. But my dad worked for the Hotel Restaurant Union for a long time. My dad is actually a union president. I think it's Local 274. I think it's Local 274. He'd probably kill me if I said it wrong, but I'll figure it out. But anyway, and so at that time, he put me in certain jobs like where I would go, and I would work in the kitchen and serve food, cooking the food and serve food at lunch and breakfast and all that kind of stuff. So I had those kind of jobs in between, but I never gave up. Like with any career, you wanna it's gonna be hard times. It's just you sticking it out and keep grinding because if there's no down, there won't be no up. You gotta you get through it. If it's really what you love.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Really what you love, stick to it. And I stuck to it. And I think, like I said, I think around 2000, I was still before this. I was playing for percussion for Jaguar Wright at the time. Before I even started playing for Jill.
Right.
In 2005, me and my boy Don Robinson. And Adam became the MD, and so he hit me and Adam. He hit me and Darryl up and was like, y'all ready to play for Jill? We're like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Cool. Happened, and I think when I started playing for Jill, that's when I started taking off more because I started getting out there, and we was new young boys up and coming. I went on my first tour, which was the Sugar Water Festival. It was Floetry, Queen Latifah, ErykahBadu, and JillScott. When we was on this tour, man, it changed my life. It was an incredible tour, man.
Oh,
we had a
man.
great time. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, this the names that you're naming right now.
Man, and it's crazy
Especially Jill
because
Scott, like, but still,
yeah, I mean Jill is a Philadelphian, and
Yeah.
so that tour changed my life. And then Floetry is like that's family. Like Floetry would come through
I
would
remember
be at
Floetry.
yeah, they would be at the Black Lily. They was one of the artists, up and coming and performing at the Black Lily back then. You got the ErnieC too.
Right.
Um, you know, but that tour was crazy. That was just like I said, that's one of the many artists I played for. JillScott, so I'll give you a list.
Right.
Some of the artists I played for.
All right.
I played for Bilal, JillScott, did a lot
Mhm.
of stuff with the Roots, Jaguar,
Oh man.
Jazzyfatnastees, eventually, who else I said? Jaguar,
Yep.
JillScott, Bilal, boom. Then I started playing for Jill.
Yep.
Later on in life, I played for ErykahBadu after a while. Rihanna, Eminem. I started playing for Eminem in 2009. 2012. If anybody remember when DrDre and Snoop did Coachella, I was part of that band. Man, it's been a and then all the many award shows and other shows I've done with other plenty artists. So it's been a and then JohnMayer 2019, which was like my favorite one to ever gig to ever do. It was
Oh,
like, whoa, blew me away. One
right.
of the best I did. So JohnMayer 2019, that was
Wow,
that was
dude.
that. Yeah.
Wow. Man, going back,
hmm
you were talking about your cooking.
hmm
Your cooking skills are ridiculous.
I
Don't get this twisted, man. I'm telling you, everybody, this dude can cook.
like
Like,
cook. I like it, man. I like cooking, man. Grateful from like my grandma. My grandfather was a cook. Charles Wright. He was a cook at a school called Church Farm School
right.
here in Philly. So he cooked. My
Mm,
grandmother was a good cook. My dad could cook. My mom could cook. It's literally. That's good. I just always wanted to cook for myself anyway. So just in case, you never know. Like,
right.
get a lady you can't cook. She can't
Right.
cook, so you can cook for yourself. So, but no. So I love cooking. So that's what
Yeah.
What you have?
No.
Was it someone? I gave you some wings or something. I forgot what I mean.
No, 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 no. You had some stuff from, was it Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it was
yeah. Oh,
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
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 It was Thanksgiving. I had some of that food, man. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Woo.
We had a great time. The one Thanksgiving we stayed there. Lord have mercy. Man.
Oh man. Oh, okay. Let me get back to music.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Um at some point, man, when you started playing with all these artists,
Mhm.
did you ever felt like I made it?
Yeah. I definitely felt like. Yeah, I definitely had the feeling like, all right, yeah, I'm here. This is where I'm really starting to be at. I'm starting to get the calls. I'm like, yes, thank God. Always grateful because
Yeah.
I don't take it for granted because you can go today tomorrow and then
Hmm.
you won't be cannot be playing for nobody. You do it just
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
So when I started getting there, it was definitely it was a blessing, man. It was
Mm,
a total blessing because this is what I dreamed and wanted to do,
man.
and then here I am,
Yeah.
42, going on 43 this year. With a 20-something career, 20-something year career
Right.
now.
Dude,
I'm
man.
still, I still get to play and still get the calls and played on a lot of records, some good records. Um, you know, trying to think, played on two movie.
Two movies.
Yeah, I did the Barbie movie, the opening, the movie, the percussion for the opening scene, the Lizzo and Lizzo, the song
Yeah.
called Pink, Pink. Dun,
Yeah.
dun. That's me playing percussion in the Lindro.
I did not know that.
I did it with I was in there with Mark Runson. He called me in and which and that's a mirror on drums, Questlove. He called me in to play percussion. And that was my second movie. The first one was Despicable Me. Despicable Me 3, the song with CeeLo Brown. It's called I played on the song Scream
What was the song?
by CeeLo. It's called Scream with CeeLo Green
Oh,
on Despicable Me.
yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
I played on that
Man.
song too. Yeah. So those were like my first like movie joints.
All
Um,
right.
I put it off a Jill Scott called me and my boys called I Love You. It was on the Light of the Sun album. It was on the bonus track on iTunes. So some of the stuff I've done.
Wow, man.
Of course,
Dude.
Ty Tribbett.
Yeah.
I used to play with Ty Tribbett, so I played on the first album.
Okay.
You Could Change with Kimberell, and then
Right.
later on in life, I played on He Turned It, like the later album, the Shotgun song, He Turned It, and I forgot the other song. And it come back to me, but I
Right.
played two songs on that album. Um, I played on Kiera's album
Right.
while we were actually, I think, on out in Vegas. I was in Vegas, out to Detroit. Played on Kiera Shear's last album,
Right.
Karen Clark's, and so many other more. I do a lot of stuff with John Key, a lot of low keys. And then this is Richard Smallwood's
Okay.
album, the last one, which was I think it was called the Got a Promise album.
Right.
That was the last one I actually played on for him. Yeah, it's called
Bro,
Promises. The Promises album, 2011, was because of Stephen Ford. So I've done I got a little.
you've
I've been
done
playing
a
on stuff, and I'll
lot.
be forgetting that I'll play on a lot of stuff too. Also, so
Yeah.
probably not even half the stuff. So it's been a blessing, man. Like to become a percussionist and then being sought after and recording those.
Right.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, eRecordStudio, the new way musicians rehearse, record, and share their e-record sessions on social media. Visit ERS on eRecordStudio.com. Download this amazing app on Google and Apple Apps stores.
Can I get your background of your music influences? Like what were you listening to when you were a kid?
Man, the Winans. My mother was listening. She had we had the Winans going,
Yeah.
Vanessa Bell Armstrong,
Okay.
Hawkins and all that kind of stuff. Because it was a Christian home, so they ain't listen to gospel. I listened
Yeah.
to the R&B stuff and all the other stuff at my grandfather's house with
Right.
my aunt Felicia and my uncle Corey, rest in peace.
Right.
That was the side of music I got to hear over there. The FM, it's AM and it's FM. FM was
Right.
all the
Yeah.
so I got to listen to all that stuff at my grandfather's
Uh,
house. But I was listening to all that kind of stuff, choir stuff. So let's say the Hawkins, New Jersey Mask, and
hmm.
L.A. Mass, and Helen Baylor's, and I listened to all that stuff. So that was like my gospel background for back then when I was younger. My
Right.
influences, but I also was as I was becoming a musician. Like I said, I was listening to like your Miles Davis's
Hmm.
albums, uh Weather Report. I listened to a lot of Weather Report, Jaco Pastorius,
Yeah.
the Yellow Jackets.
Mm.
Um, who else, man? And of course Giovanni, Shirley E.
Yeah.
Um, so many greats. Just a lot of stuff that I heard over the years that influenced me and helped me out. So that's some of the musical influences I was listening to. That was changing my life.
Right. Yeah.
Dennis Chambers,
Yeah.
the DVD with the blue drums, the blue pearl
Oh,
set.
yeah.
Man, I
Re
listened to I used to listen to that all the time, man.
uh,
Um,
who's that bass player? Oh my
uh,
gosh.
James, was it James Jameson?
No.
No,
No. Um, ah, I can't remember. Sorry.
what was
But
his name?
them two
Yeah,
were locked.
absolutely.
Yeah. Them two were locked, man. Because that was my hometown hero, um, in
Of
Baltimore,
course.
man. And
I mean, and then later on, I found out that he's playing with like P Funk and all that. 83.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I was too young then, but once I found out about it later on in life, I listened to that for years. You know
Mm,
what I
mm,
mean?
yeah.
So, um, yeah,
Like,
those were my influences at the time.
right.
You know?
Man, that's great, man. That's great. Um, can you tell people how you like prepare for like, like for sessions? Like, like for shows or even recording,
Yeah.
or is
One thing
it
I like.
all the same? I mean, that's
Um, it is and it's not. Like right now, like
okay.
it is. Well, yeah. I mean, for shows, I'm always, if I'll study the music, listen, and just just listen. Something. I mean, I actually listen a lot before I even play, and
Yeah.
then I get on my instrument and figure it out from there. Sometimes I don't practice it.
Right.
Sometimes I will. It depends. But I'm more so, studying music, listen to it every day, just get it in my head and prepare myself for, what I'm about to play.
Does it take you, like how do you remember all these songs, man? That's the other thing that
I
amazes me that if
I
you
do
do.
not know, man. It's
Like, I mean,
I
2 hour
man,
sets, and I'm sure with every group, like, with
yeah,
like Rihanna and
yeah. John
and
Mayer was
John
3.
Mayer.
That was 3 hours. So that was even
3 hours with John
and
Mayer?
and that process was crazy because I'm used to like having playback to listen to what we recorded. No, we had like I think it was like either 52 or 55 songs. I seen the picture of the list. 55 songs to learn. And we would do
Ooh,
5 each day. And we were actually rehearsing over at Jim Henson's, so that was the
okay.
crazy part.
Yeah.
So five each day, next one, boom, 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 and then we put the show together, and I did that without no playback or nothing. And remember, it was like, "Are we doing this today? Okay, let's go back to this song." And woo, it was rough. It was,
Oh man.
but that's great training to keep you sharp on your mind and keep your ears trained and your retention, because retention is a big thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah, that's what. I think my mind is just a sponge of music also too. So I just, I can recall stuff that makes sense. Um, Especially if a song sounds a certain way, like I can equate it to it sounding like this song, you know what I mean? Or,
Right.
like 80s or because if you think about so the song Pink, it almost sounds like All Night Long.
Oh, yeah.
Next time you go back and listen to it, it almost sounds like
Okay.
All Night Long. So that was my reference to that song.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's a lot of stuff isn't new under the sun, so you can kind of like like digging the crazy, like
Right.
oh
Oh
yeah,
man.
just do think of this, or I'll go back and do some homework on something that sounds like your song, or even like um, I remember we did it was called Christmas Divas one year, and it was Shaka Khan on it. We did Ain't Nobody and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm Every Woman.
Yeah.
And so I'm all, my idea is I'm like, Adam, let's do, first we were playing like the house version. I was like, all right, Adam, let's split the difference. Let's do like part old I'm Every Woman with the new version.
Right.
Like play the bass line as if you were is Anthony Jackson?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Anthony
Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah.
And it worked. It's a clip of that. It's a clip of it online. But if you listen to them, those are like my ideas. So because I'll always love original. Original always works for me. It's always the best.
Wow.
So
Dude. It's pretty sick though, man.
because people want to hear it, like musicians, we love the extra stuff, whatever. But the
Right.
normal ear that don't have the same ear we do, they want to hear the song. They want to hear the song,
Right.
not you know. Well, I mean, it works out too. It does work sometimes, but for the most
Right.
part, if you still keep that connection of the original, so people know what you're doing, it always works out every time. So you can you know add
Hmm.
whatever extra once you got the meat and potatoes of the song.
Hmm.
So
Man. That's awesome, man.
yeah,
How's it feel to play with all these, like these great artists, like Roots, Dr.
yeah,
Dre, Snoop, you
it's
know.
great, man. It's great that they call me back, and and even like happy to see me when I'm back because I didn't play for M for a while,
Right.
but I always get the call to come back.
Right. Even
You know,
L
that's
LL Cool
that
J, man.
if
That I thought that was awesome too, man.
that's it. That's and that's the that goes to show how much your work speaks for you when you do good
Hmm.
work and are good off the stage too. You know what I mean? Like, how you conduct yourself and.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that they always call me back and it's always love every time I see them. It's like, yo, what's up? And I just make it do what it do.
Right. Man, do you still have much fun that you when you're on stage on a bigger stage
Mhm.
and say you're going from a bigger stage to a smaller stage like church,
Yeah. Oh
like
man.
I'm sure you still have a great time, right?
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna always be a church musician. That doesn't change.
Right.
I switched into that mode. That's a different mode.
Yeah.
Uh, and because I have more of a vocabulary percussion, I can add to it now and the way I want to. So it's even more fun. Yeah,
Man, I love what you did with Ty.
Oh man, it's my
That
guy. Man.
like you and Spanky. Oh,
And we all been me. And so
oh,
that
man.
you know, people ask like, who's your favorite drummer to play with? Well, any drummer, but like my brothers that I've been growing up with for years, your Spanks, your Darryl Robinson. We've been all friends from Boots.
Right.
John Lawson, one of my other brothers, John Lawson, who used to play for Music Soul Child, and he used to play with Kanye West at some point too. But we're friends off the stage too.
Right.
It's not that we practice nothing together, but the camaraderie of friendship that we've had for years,
Right.
it makes it easier on stage to
Yeah.
play. We all get together and we start playing music. It's like night and days. I
Mm.
can I can lock us in. I
Right.
lock in with all of them.
Oh man. Could you name like two songs from every artist that you play with that's like your favorite to play
Oh yeah, yeah.
on the stage with them?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's
Sorry
see.
to put you on the spot there.
No, no, that's good. This is a good question. JillScott, two songs I always love playing for her. I always love playing Long Walk.
Right.
And I would love playing what's another song we should do? Um, Long Walk and whatever. And I'm gonna give you a third one.
All right.
Not like Crazy was a fun song to play for her too. Then you got Badu. I always love any Badu song, like,
Yeah.
On and on.
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
I Want You. That was a dope song to play. That's
Hmm.
just two of them. JohnMayer, man, we did a version. It was a song we did a version with. Yeah, Belief was one of my favorite songs to play with him. Um, and of course, Don't Stop This Train was one of my favorite songs. I mean, that whole set was just fun to play, but Don't
Right.
Stop This Train was one.
Right.
Who else? You said Eminem. Uh, of course. At least I love Square. 3 a.m. in the morning. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Get the pound up. That's I play more hip hop on that stuff and
Oh right. Oh man.
more hip hop percussion, which is like I'm trying to sound like whatever they sample.
Right.
3 a.m. in the morning, and then Lose Yourself.
Okay. Okay.
That's always that's the highlight of the night.
Yeah.
With DrDre and Snoop.
Man. What's that?
Ain't No Fun was one of my favorite songs to play.
Okay.
Ain't No Fun, and then like uh Gin and Juice was one of my
Oh,
other favorite ones to play with him.
yeah.
Yeah. L Cool J, Something Like a Phenomenon was a good one.
Yeah.
Roundaway Girl was one I used to love playing.
Okay.
Who
Okay.
else? Rihanna. Oh God. I'm gonna say every song. I love playing.
All right.
That
Okay.
show was just like a party, so it was like
Oh.
we was just always have a good song. But if I had to say, Birthday Cake was one.
Okay.
What else? Um, Rude Boy. I used to love playing
Oh.
that. That was a
Oh,
fun song to
yeah.
play. Um, who else? Did I miss anybody? Bilal, Soul Sister. Um, what else? He had so many. Bilal, Hollywood was another song I used to like playing by Bilal.
Okay.
The Roots, any Roots song.
Right.
Do You Want More? Um, they used to have a song called Water. I used to love playing. It would be
All
like,
right. Okay.
yeah, it would be like a. God, I don't think they do it anymore, but it
Right.
was definitely one of the songs I used to play.
Oh man.
And then who else? Adele.
Yeah.
Like, Wood on the Bridge is
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorite songs to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Romantic. Those were the fun. They were fun songs to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
that's
about
just who else?
with Ty?
Oh, Ty. Oh man.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Oh man. Ty. Of course, he turned it.
Right.
Man. He turned it. What else? He had a bunch of songs. Stuff from the
Man.
old records, No Way.
Right.
Kiera, I loved her whole album. I played on the first 7. Kiera shared. I played on the first 7 songs of her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was every one of those songs was just for Kiera. You said 2, so I'm gonna give you 2 for off
Right.
her. But that was Kiera shared. That was I want to say You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. That was a good one. Done For Me was a good one. Those are 2 songs I like playing on here. But
Right.
like I said, I played the first 7 songs. And then Karen Clark. I played on her mother's album, the recent single. It just got #1 on something.
Oh, wow.
So that was cool. Still Karen. Song of Praise. I loved it. That was a fun song to play on. And Send It Down. That was a dope song to play on.
Right. Wow.
So those are some of like the songs I got to, have fun playing on. So
man, what's next for the one and only Aaron Draper?
yeah. Well, everybody been asking me to do an album. I'm like, oh man, all right. I guess I gotta
Dude, that would be sick.
On a percussionist album-ish, I guess, with me singing a little something. I don't really like to sing. My secret is I don't really like to sing.
No,
I can sing effortlessly playing around, but when I get on stage, it turned into ain't nothing coming out that I can do. I know I can do, but it just don't. But of course, singing is more like an instrument too. You got to do it often. I don't really sing.
Right.
But that, and I'm working. I'm here recording for whoever. Just rocking out. Giving back to, and I'm trying to give back to the kids a lot more too.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing a panel, talking about what we do and everything.
Okay.
Here in Philly for school, and so that's me. Giving back more, and then whatever's next.
Right.
Of course, doing my little investments and everything after being on the road with that money, and investing into the next, my property or whatever, or just making sure to take care of business as I become get up in these 40s.
Right. Man, let's get into your gear, man.
Yeah.
Why do you pick all these companies? But I'm gonna list one is Pearl. Why'd you pick Pearl?
I mean, Pearl was like the church drum set #1. So when they started making percussion, it was like, oh yeah, all right. And one of my guys brought me on. His name is Fausto Cuves. He was on Pearl, and he brought me into Pearl at the time. And that was 2008. Before that, I was with Toka Percussion.
Okay.
And Toka was dope.
Yeah.
They're really dope.
Yeah.
But I ended up leaving and going over to Pearl, and I started. I think I came over to Pearl in 2008. So that tells you how long I've been with them.
Right.
I've been with them for a long time. Pearl is always, they make great drums.
Yeah, they do.
I have no complaints. They make great drums.
Right.
These Jackson drums right here are from 2010 JillScott Maxwell tour.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What's that floor time next to you? What is that?
This is from JohnMayer 2019. This is part of the whole. All my drums look like this, including the congas. Like,
oh
yeah, I had custom tamales like this too.
Ooh.
I had to make them out of the toms. I was like, yo, cut the toms like the tamales, and I'm gonna just use that. So
okay.
That's shout out to Pearl. They will always look out in that way.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of them. And this. I forgot what I had that one for. I got a lot of drums.
Right.
Literally. And I still got some more coming back. So from the West.
Right. Oh man. I'm gonna go to the next company, Zildjian.
Oh man. I mean, I was with Sabian, and like the next best company is Zildjian, because that was my move. I Saban, I love Saban. Shout out to Chris Thank and Saban.
Yeah.
A little bit changed over there. So it was,
Yeah.
and at the time, this is between the time I wasn't using cymbals anyway.
Right.
I was like, well, where can I go?
Right.
I just went over to Zildjian.
There you go. There you go.
Now I did have one other company that I was endorsing with years ago before that, and that was Istanbul, which they make great cymbals. I love Istanbul. Yeah, there was some dope cymbals too. But shout out to Zildjian. They've been taking care of me for some time now, and it's been great.
Right.
I don't have no complaint. It's
Yeah.
part of my sound. It's part of my sound.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's get into the king.
Let's go.
Remo.
Yeah, boy. I can't have it no other way, man. I love Remo. I like the way they make my drum sound. I like the way they tune.
Right.
You know how to tune your drums. You can have they can sound really good, and those are what a lot of my OGs grew up on playing anyway. I'll be nice.
Right. I want to let people know. Okay, we had a joke backstage. And it was funny what Aaron did. Our fellow drummer, Derek Wright, was using another brand.
Yes.
And
I was like, yo, man, you like those?
Right.
You sure
we won't name who that is.
But just know now that Derek Wright plays the king. He plays the crown now.
Right. Right.
He plays the crown. They just have a great sound to them.
Oh, yes, they do. Beautiful. Beautiful sound.
Y'all don't know, Will is about to start playing them too. I converted him too.
Oh, man.
Hey, man.
Anyway. Next company is Vic Firth.
Man, Vic Firth was my first stick. So that was the first company I got endorsed with sticks. Vic Firth in 2005.
Okay.
Marco was the he was the A&R at the time. So I actually went back to Vic Firth because I left and went all over the place for a minute. I was at Vader.
Yep.
Eventually I went to this other company. They were Swiss drum company. It was a Swiss stick drum company. They were making me on my own stick, and then I ended up at ProMart. They were called were they Aguilar drumsticks? Something like that. I forgot what they called.
All right.
Anyway,
okay.
They're not probably, but and I got one of them through Spank. And so then eventually I just ended up at ProMart.
Right. Okay.
And remember I had ProMart. I actually just found that stick. I forgot I had that stick bag that you sent back. I was like, I forgot I had this. So so what happened was I was on a gig and I had these Vic First, and I was like, man, I miss playing it. I need to go back. Try to go back.
Right.
And Zildjian, they own Vic Firth, and I've been back. I've been back ever since. I was happy to come back to home.
Right.
I ain't never going back. Good. It feels good. I mean, they can be wrong. ProMark feel good too, but Vic Firth was more of my what I like to play, and So now I'm back with Vic Firth, and I ain't going back.
Right. Let me ask you this: Do you have a remote studio in there, or do you do things at a certain studio, or you do things remote from there?
I've literally cut a lot of records here, especially during the pandemic. I did a lot of records here in the basement. It wasn't as like this. This is all I knew. I just started patenting I just set that up as my booth,
right,
with all the sound stuff. And I set up my drums finally. And, got my speakers from Vegas, all the stuff, studio stuff on board, and it was like, you know what? Let me just make this into my man cave / music setup. I'm already down here cutting anyway, so it just makes sense to just do it, take it to the next level. So
yeah. Man, do you use a full setup of actual congas, or do you use those just traveling?
No, I use my congas. I only had the travel joints because they were convenient for Vegas. They made sense. I could have probably could have got use some from have these.
Right.
There's another company that have the same ones I use in Vegas. Because I would do a lot of Soul Train awards there, and rehearsals would be
Oh
in
man.
Vegas. I forgot what's the rental company over there? It's not Center Stage, and it's
Oh geez.
God.
In Vegas?
Yeah, it's a rental company there. Not Center
Not.
Stage.
Oh jeez. Not center staging, but oh man, hold on.
Like we both looking like
Right. I have to look, man. Like SIR?
yes, SIR.
Okay. All right. All right.
SIR actually has my setup there, so
Oh,
I could
okay.
either, but
Yeah.
and the travel coons actually worked out because I used them on Corey Henry's whole church album, and I
Mm,
used them in a couple records. The Send It Down, Karen Clark.
yeah.
Always like the product test to see how they hold up on
Yeah.
records. They sound pretty good. They sound decent. So,
Man. Yeah, that's
but not for home. My, yeah, I got my girl set up.
all right. Yeah. Do you use any certain software that you use, like,
I'm
with
using
your recording stuff?
Logic. I'm using Logic.
Yeah.
I'm running I live in 88, and I have a Foresight uh interface I'm using to give me that gives me like I want to say I'm using probably like 9 channels right now.
Right.
Nine out channels and same 8 in. So I got enough to record my whole drum set and whatever else I got in there. Just three. I got three mics in there because I don't really need that much. Two for the
Right. What,
congas and then
you,
SC microphones.
okay, that's what I was about to ask.
SC microphones. Shout out to SC microphones. I've been
Right.
using them since 2019, since JohnMayer.
Mm,
That's when I got endorsed with them, and I've been representing some. There's some great microphones.
man.
Yeah.
Man. Do you have anything else that you want to like promote or any upcoming shows or anything that people can check you out?
February 1st. God. You can catch me February 1st in California playing with Corey Henry,
Mm,
Grammys week at the Sunroom
at the sunroom.
and I'm talking about in Vegas. I mean
Yeah,
Vegas. I mean in LA.
in LA. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like where the old House of Blues used to be at. So February,
Oh,
yeah. If you remember where the House of Blues was, that's
yeah.
literally the same. That's where it is. When I walked, I was like, oh, this. I used to be here. I used to
Yeah.
play shows here with JillScott. So
Right.
um, I'll be there, and then um, uh, I got a little break right now because we've been going for 3 years, so I'm kind of taking a break. But
Yeah.
after that, I'm actually doing a Dave Cos cruise overseas. Which is
What?
yeah, I'm doing a Dave Cos cruise overseas. That's funny. It's going to be the cruise. Fun
That's cool
times.
though.
Yeah, absolutely. First
Yeah.
time doing anything with like Dave Cos in the cruise, so that's going to be fun to be on there with a bunch of great musicians and
Yeah.
artists. I don't know what the day's going to bring, but we're going to see. I got a little time in June, and right now I'm just taking this time to chill, catch up with life and family. My nephews is getting older. Spend time with my mom and them, and because that's the stuff you take for granted.
Yeah.
That's the actual sacrifice of being a musician too. You're away from your family for certain times, especially if you're touring. Your touring is even worse because you're somewhere else, and you
Right.
come back and everybody's grown up, and you're like, well, what just happened? You was just 3.
Right.
So I'm taking the time and spending the time with family and stuff. So that's
That's
right now
good.
that's what I do have coming up. But anything that I have, you can check me out on my Instagram. I always put it up when I'm doing. I'm working on the site. I'm gonna have to work on the site because people are like, "Well, you got a website?" I'm gonna have it done so you can see like my schedule, where I'm gonna be, and all that soon.
Yeah,
So, yeah. But that's what I got coming up for now.
man.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to like tell the young, kids that, like inspire that wants to be like, like you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for what I can always say is, learn your craft. Learn to read. It's great to have chops too, but also learn to feel too.
Mm.
less chops to get you paid.
There you go.
You know, depending on the gig, you know what I mean? And then you know, I'm not hating and saying that it's not a thing, but learn musically where to place them. You know, make musical sense. You know, sometimes it can be overdone. Sometimes it can sound like stuff. Respect the music, and you know, and also I wish somebody would have told me as a younger guy. I would have probably had properties and stuff by now, houses and everything. Save your money and invest in yourself. Yeah, you know, I know you want to get all of everything, but invest that money into something so it can grow, so it can work out for you later, so you can do whatever you want to do, you know? And yeah.
Dude,
and be the best. And like I said, study your craft, be the best at it, you know?
Yeah.
Be the best at your craft.
I had a question for you, and
Yeah.
I should have put this earlier in the questionnaires or whatever. Have you ever been in a situation with another drummer and you playing percussion, and they kind of overplayed over top of you?
Yeah, it was no. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a situation. There was a I don't know. And shout out to my guy. When I was doing plays, that's a big clue. I ain't gonna. I did a. So I did a bunch of. So I didn't mention. I did a bunch of Tyler Perry plays. I did a Bedea's Happy. I did the Bedea Happy Family. Was Done in the Dark. The Neighbors from Hell. Aunt Dan's Place. Some Bedea's Christmas. I played on probably like 5 to 6 Tyler Perry DVDs. Plays.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, but at the time, you know, I love the drummer. It's my guy, but we didn't really. There wasn't no. I mean, it was locked. It didn't sound like you couldn't tell that we weren't playing. But it was just like I was playing, he was playing.
Right.
It wasn't. It didn't feel. It wasn't enjoyable. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
gotcha.
That's how. I'll just keep it like that. Then later on, you know, you had like Charles Foster and Wayne Thornton on Jones, and I went to see those plays, and I was like, now where were they at when I was playing? This is come on, you know. So, you know, that's a story I could say. That I mean, but it was great times. Shout out to Ronnie Garrett, who always calls me anytime for that, you know, or you know, just anything. That's my OG. He's a great guy. And Mike Bergen, who actually called me in for that too. Who plays with Usher.
Oh, right. Okay.
Saxophone for Usher and Melvin Jones and all them. So they called me in, man, and I'm always appreciative to them for that call. So you know, that's something else on the resume, you know.
There you go. Man, Aaron, man, I'm gonna wrap things up. But man, anything else that you wanna say, or anything that you want people else to know about you?
I'm also part of a band called the Origin Band. You know, we have our stuff that we're working on. It'll be eventually coming out soon.
Nice.
My brother Dow, he's actually been in the hospital for a while now. So, you know, prayers and send your love and support and prayers to my brother. You know, I think that's really it, man. I'm looking forward to continue to make great music. If you follow me on Instagram and you have questions about anything, I'm always an open book to answer. I'm always willing to help and, you know, give my opinion about anything because, you know, somebody did that for me. You know, somebody helped me along eventually after the way. So,
yeah,
that's what I'm about, man.
Bro.
You know?
Man, thank you so much, man, for coming on my show, man. I know it's been like over a year or something like that.
Hey, man, I was always ready whenever you're ready, man. You know,
thank you. Thank you for your patience, man.
My guy, bro.
Thank you so much. Everybody, Aaron Draper. Take it easy, my man. If you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you like what you're seeing so far from me. That only helps me out a lot. So thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. Bye.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, eRecordStudio, the new way musicians rehearse, record, and share their e-record sessions on social media. Visit ERS on eRecordStudio.com. Download this amazing app on Google and Apple Apps stores.
Visit us on www.talkmusicpodcast.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download our podcast on Apple, Google, Amazon, and Spotify.